Salvete all. All right, this is chapters 9 through 12, the thrilling conclusion of Bellum Troianum by Bryan Groenwoller. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Sorry, Maggie Stair, if you're watching this. All right, cool. Let's go. Chapter 9, the anger of Achilles. The anger of Achilles was great. Achilles found Hector alone near the walls of Troy. And Achilles called out to Hector, "Hector, Patroclus was my friend. Fight me." Hector said to him, "I'm a man, but Achilles is a demigod." Hector was captured by fear. Having been captured by fear, Hector fled from Achilles. 3 times Hector ran away from Achilles around the walls of Troy, and 3 times Achilles followed him. Finally, Hector saw Paris outside the walls. Paris over here like, "Hey, brother, why are you running from Achilles? I'll fight Achilles with you." The words of Paris basically strengthened his spirit, encouraged Hector. There you go, increased Hector's soul. Therefore, Hector turned around so he could see Achilles. Hector says, "Achilles, I will fight you, but first, let us make a pact between us. If I kill you, I will return your body to the Greeks, and if you kill me, you will return my body to the Trojans and my homeland." The anger of Achilles, however, was great. Achilles says, "Hector, you're stupid. There are no pacts between lions and men." Very famous line. "Wolves don't make pacts with sheep. Wolves hate sheep like I hate you." Suddenly Achilles threw his spear at Hector, but Hector moved himself. The spear of Achilles hit the earth. Paris yells, "Now, brother, throw your spear." Hector says, "Certainly, brother," as one happens during a fight. Hector threw his spear, and the spear of Hector flew straight, flew in a straight line. Yeah, correctly. The spear of Hector hit the shield of Achilles. And then Hector said to Paris, "Brother, throw me your spear." But Paris said nothing. There was silence. There was a long silence. "Paris? Brother?" Suddenly, Paris transformed into the goddess Minerva. The anger of Minerva was great. Minerva says, "Ha ha, you're stupid, Hector. Paris is in Troy. You are alone outside of Troy." And immediately Minerva turned to Achilles, and then Minerva gave Achilles her spear. Achilles and Minerva mocked Hector. The anger of Achilles and the anger of Minerva were great. Then Achilles, carrying the spear of Minerva, ran at Hector. Hector, however, did not have a spear. Hector only had a sword. Hector, alone outside the walls of Troy, picked up his sword, and then Hector ran at Achilles. Hector fought bravely against Achilles. The anger of Achilles, however, was stronger than the sword of Hector. Soon, Achilles killed Hector with a spear. And then Achilles returned his spear to Minerva. "Thank you, goddess Minerva." "Of course," or "You're welcome, Achilles." Achilles went to his chariot, and then Achilles in his chariot dragged the then Achilles dragged the body of Hector into his chariot. He drug the body of dead Hector around the walls of Troy. Mother of Hector, seeing his body, shouted, "Oh, my immortal gods!" But Priam, father of Hector, said nothing. Achilles didn't return the body of Hector to the Trojans. Achilles dragged the body of Hector to the ship and gave his corpse to the dogs for food. The anger of Achilles was great. Brutal. Chapter 10, the heel of Achilles, or Achilles' heel. The next day, all the Greeks were fighting between the ships and the walls of Troy. All the Greeks were fighting against the Trojans between the ships and walls of Troy. Without Hector, many Trojans were killed by the Greeks and Achilles. Achilles violently killed many Trojans. Achilles violently killed small Trojans. Achilles also killed big Trojans. The Trojans were captured with fear. Therefore, the Trojans rapidly fled behind the walls of Troy. And finally, many Trojans were standing in the walls, or on the walls, so they could see the Greeks. Achilles, seeing the Trojans standing on the walls, went to the gates of Troy. Achilles shouted, "Hector's dead. Who's able to kill me? Nobody. Nobody's able to kill me. And now I'm going to kill all of you." Immediately, Achilles struck the gates of Troy. Paris, hearing Achilles' words, was captured by anger. He sent many archers were standing with Paris on the walls. And Paris ordered the archers to shoot their arrows at Achilles. Many arrows hit Achilles, but the body of Achilles was not pierced. Achilles mocked the Trojans. "Ha! No arrow is able to kill me. My mother submerged me in the river Styx." And then Achilles again beat on the gates of Troy. Paris again ordered the archers to shoot arrows at Achilles, and again the body of Achilles was not pierced with arrows. Achilles again mocked the Trojans. "Ha ha! Y'all are stupid, Trojans. No one is able to kill me, but I'm able to kill y'all. I will kill y'all. I'm going to kill y'all's wives and your babies. And tonight, the dogs are going to eat your dead bodies." Like, Achilles needs therapy and a hug, clearly. Achilles again beat on the gates of Troy, and the gates of Troy began to break. Paris again ordered the archers to shoot arrows at Achilles, and Paris also shot one arrow. None of the arrows pierced the body of Achilles. The goddess Venus directed the arrow of Paris, except for the arrow of Paris. Achilles yells, "Ah! What? Ah! What happened? How did an arrow pierce my heel?" Achilles, wounded, began to flee from the gates of Troy, and suddenly, however, Achilles fell to the ground. On the arrow was poison. Achilles began to shout, "Paris, you coward! I'm going to kill you." But the poison killed Achilles. Achilles was dead. Everyone looked at the dead Achilles for a long time. Then the Trojans rejoiced, but the Greeks were taken with fear. One of the Greeks shouted, "Eheu! How are we gonna defeat the Trojans without Achilles? Woe! Woe is us!" Immediately all the Greeks, running to the ships, fled from the walls of Troy. That night, on the ship with Agamemnon, there was a man named Ulysses, who we may better know as Odysseus or Ulysses. Ulysses was a very clever man. Agamemnon says, "Oh dear, Achilles is dead. Without Achilles, we aren't going to be able to defeat the Trojans." And Ulysses or Odysseus says, "Perhaps there is, King Agamemnon, but I have a plan." Sorry, brain fart there. But I have a plan. Chapter 11, the wooden horse. The next day, all the Trojans all the Trojans ran from the ships to the rapidly ran from the walls to the ships so they could defeat the Greeks. The ships of the Greeks, however, were gone. The Greeks were gone. There were no ships on shore. But behold, on the shore there was a giant wooden horse. The wooden horse was bigger than 4 ships. The Trojans were admiring it. The Trojans were stunned. They were amazed. There we go. But with this wooden horse, there was one Greek. The Greek was crying. Priam, king of the Trojans, asked the Greek, "What's your name?" The Greek says, Please Please, I love you. Please, don't kill me. I'm Greek, but the Greeks want to sacrifice me for wind. I, therefore, have fled from the Greeks. Yesterday, the Greeks fled from Troy, and I, however, I remained on the shore. Then that miserable Greek began to weep. Priam says, "Miserable man, pathetic man, I am not going to kill you. Now you're not Greek. Now you are a Trojan." "Oh, king, thank you, my king." Priam says, "Willingly," or "You're welcome." What is your name? "My name is Sinon." "Tell me, Sinon, why did the Greeks make a wooden horse? What is this?" "Yes, my king. Minerva was angry because Ulysses stole a statue from the temple of Minerva. Therefore, Minerva did not want to help us then. Without the help of Minerva, the Greeks didn't have wind for sailing. Therefore, Agamemnon ordered the Greeks to make a giant wooden horse. The wooden horse is a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice to Minerva." Priam says, "I understand. Thank you, Sinon. Perhaps I will destroy this wooden horse." "No, no, no, my king. If you destroy the horse, well, Minerva's going to destroy Troy. But if you bring the horse inside of Troy, then you will be the king of the Trojans and the Greeks. Minerva will help you." Priam thought about this. Priam thought about this for a long time. Day Ray, about this matter. I'm just saying this, thought about this. Finally, Priam shouted, "Trojans, bring the wooden horse into Troy." And suddenly a priest named Laocoon shouted, "No, no, my king, don't bring that horse into Troy." "What? Why not?" Don't trust this horse, my king. Perhaps many Greeks are inside of it." "Many Greeks? In the horse? That's ridiculous." Laocoon says, "Beware the wooden horse. Beware, my king. Beware the words of Sinon. Sinon is a Greek, and I fear Greeks bearing gifts." Laocoon threw his spear into the wooden horse. The spear of the wooden horse the spear of Laocoon hit the wooden horse. Sorry, I clearly need more coffee. And immediately two giant serpents slithered out of the water, and two serpents slithered toward Laocoon. Two serpents killed Laocoon, and then two serpents slithered back into the water. Priam looked at the serpents killing Laocoon. And then Priam shouted, "This is a sign. This is a sign from Minerva. Sinon is speaking correctly." Sinon spoke correctly. "Bring the horse into Troy." And the Trojans rejoiced. And the Trojans were shouting, "It's the end of the war. The end of the war has been made." All the Trojans were rejoicing, except the family of Laocoon. Chapter 12. Troy is destroyed. That night, all the Trojans were asleep. With all the Trojans sleeping, Sinon went secretly to the wooden horse. The hidden door was inside the horse. Sinon opened the hidden door. Suddenly, 20 Greeks spilled out. Exiliabon came out of the wooden horse. Ulysses says, "Thank you, Sinon. Where are the gates of Troy?" "Follow me," he says. Soon, Ulysses opened the gates of Troy. Agamemnon and 1,000 Greeks were waiting for Ulysses. And immediately the Greeks ran into Troy. Everywhere in Troy, the Greeks were killing Trojans. Everywhere there was fire, and everywhere fire consumed Troy. With the Greeks having heard the Greeks, Priam and Paris and Helen ran to the altar of Jupiter. Priam says, "Father Jupiter, please help us." Meanwhile, on Mount Olympus, Juno said to Jupiter, "My husband, do not help these Trojans. I want the Greeks to destroy Troy. Please, my husband, do not help Priam and the Trojans." Jupiter listened to his wife, and he did not help Troy. Priam is down here screaming out, "Father Jupiter, hear me, help me in Troy." And there was silence. And there was a long silence. Jupiter did not respond to Priam. And suddenly the door of the temple was open. Menelaus and the son of Achilles entered the temple. Priam began to shout, "Please, please don't kill." But the son of Achilles threw Priam in the altar. And finally, the son of Achilles killed Priam on the altar. Menelaus, seeing Paris and Helen, was captured with anger. Paris, without a spear or sword, quickly was killed by Menelaus. And she's just looking away, like, whoops. Menelaus shouts, "Ha ha ha! Paris is dead. And now, Helen, evil wife, I will kill you." When Menelaus had looked at Helen, however, he was captured by Helen's beauty. Menelaus therefore led Helen to the ships. And for a long time, the Greeks were killing and capturing all the Trojans, and for a long time, fire was consuming Troy. In the morning, all the Trojans were dead or enslaved. Agamemnon had defeated Priam. The Greeks had defeated the Trojans. The Trojans had been conquered. Troy had been deleted, had been destroyed. 10 years later, or 10 years after the end of the war had come. We have a little epilogue about a guy named Aeneas who went on to found Rome. Behold Aeneas. Aeneas is the most clever of all the Trojans. When Ulysses, the most clever of the Greeks, opened the gates of Troy, the ghost of Hector appeared to Aeneas. The ghost of Hector said, "Aeneas, do not sleep. Get up." Hector? The ghost of Hector says, "Aeneas, many Greeks are in Troy, and soon Troy will be destroyed by the Greeks." "Oh dear, I need to fight against the Greeks." The ghost of Hector says, "No, Aeneas, son of Venus. Run, flee, get rapidly away from Troy. Run away quickly." "To where?" And the ghost of Hector says, "The gods will lead you, or may the gods, no, the gods will lead you. It's necessary for you, or you need to found a new country named Rome." Immediately, Aeneas fled from the ghost of Troy, from the ghost of Hector and Troy. Woo! All right, that's the end of the book. Appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully this was helpful. Sorry for when I tripped up. Valete.